Alright, so the Padres opening day roster has basically been finalized, and there are some notable people that have been left off, and notable players that made the team. So let's go through this roster and figure out the biggest storylines heading into opening day. Now, if we begin with the position players, there's no real big surprises here. Trent Grisham isn't on the opening day roster because of a nagging hamstring injury, which means we'll probably see Jurickson Profar as our third outfielder to start the season. As for the infielders, still the GOATs here, no surprises, but things get interesting at the catcher position. Austin Nola is also out to begin the season due to injury, which means there's an empty spot for Luis Campusano to step up. Now, if you've been following this channel, you would know that I am a huge Campusano stan. He hit a home run in the only MLB game he ever played last season, and his spring training numbers are not too shabby at all, especially when you put them next to Caratini and Nola's numbers. The one interesting thing that Campusano did in the spring, though, that I will point out that I think has gone really unnoticed, is that he walked more than he struck out. Campusano's pitch selection was pretty awful to begin his career, but he's seen drastic improvements as he's worked his way through the minor leagues, and I'm telling you, if this guy can see and read MLB pitches now, he's going to be a beast. He already has the ability to make solid contact and hit it hard, and if he can read pitches now, dude, that's like taking this guy to another level. Now, I predicted in a previous video that Campusano ends up hitting at least 10 home runs in 50 games this season. But I think that prediction was, dare I say it, lowballing things a little. If Campusano can solidify his position in the lineup in these first few games of the season, I think he has a decent shot to becoming the Padres' starting catcher. So I definitely think this is one of the biggest storylines to watch heading into the first couple weeks of the season. Now let's talk about the bench players real quick that the Padres chose to make the opening day roster. The biggest surprise on this list is Tucupita Marcano. He is currently ranked the number 6 prospect in the Padres organization, and heading into spring training he was still considered much too raw to make the MLB roster. But he continued to hit, and he hit well. The most surprising statistic for me though, is not the fact that he hit 400, but the fact that 6 out of his 17 hits were extra base hits. Marcano has never slugged higher than 450 at any level in the minors, but in spring training he put up a slugging percentage of .619. By the way, shout out to the 619, baby. Y'all ain't as cool as the 858, but y'all still San Diego, so respect. But this is where I think the Padres lineup has a little bit of a weakness. Marcano hit 3 home runs in 212 games in the minors. And if you look at the other hitters on the bench right now, Ha-Seong Kim, he definitely has a lot of power, I think, but he has had a rough spring training, and he has shown an inability to catch up to a major league fastball, as I predicted. And the other bat, Jorge Mateo, definitely is not by any means a power hitter. All this said, I think the Padres bench is missing a power bat. And I think in a time where the National League still has pitchers hitting and there's going to be multiple pinch hitters throughout a game, I think missing a power bat from your bench is especially concerning. Now, I'm not saying by any means that the Padres lineup sucks and the bench players suck. I'm just saying this is another storyline that we should follow as we head into the first couple games of the season. Now, let's move on to the pitching staff. Lamet will stay back at the alternate training site because he is not fully ready to go, so he doesn't make the opening day roster. So the Padres starting rotation to begin the season looks like it's going to be Darvish, Snell, Musgrove, Paddack, and Morejon. Now that back end of the rotation is going to be interesting to watch. Paddack had a terrible spring, so when Lamet comes back, if Paddack is still struggling to begin the season, I think there's a good chance he gets moved to the bullpen or he gets sent down. This is Paddack's 3rd year in the majors, and the Padres, I think, are starting to lose a little bit of patience with him. And I think that can be seen in the fact that Ryan Weathers made the opening day roster. Now, his spring training stats weren't all that great either. But when Tingler was asked why Weathers made the roster, he spoke to the fact that Weathers came in great shape, threw a whole bunch of strikes, and his stuff was looking pretty good. Again, I made the bold prediction that Weathers might win the National League Rookie of the Year. And I think if Paddack struggles, or even if Morejon struggles, this is a great time for Weathers to step up and show just how good he can be. But at the very least, I think he can serve as a great asset to the bullpen, because the bullpen right now only has 2 left-handed pitchers, Tim Hill and Drew Pomerantz. So I think that either him or Morejon can create some nasty matchups late into games. But if you look at the pitchers that made the opening day roster, there is one notable absence, and I wonder if you guys have picked up on it by now, but he goes by the name of Mackenzie Gore. Yes, the #1 prospect for the Padres, who was supposed to make the Major League roster last season and supposed to make the Major League roster this season, just hasn't been able to show the team that he is able to take that next big step in his progression. His spring training stats weren't all that great, and he again struggled with command. I think his stuff looks great. It's just that he can't locate it sometimes, maybe many times. And I think the Padres staff knows this, which is why it's so surprising that Gore was sent to the minor leagues instead of the alternate training camp. Gore is still quite a ways away from making the Major League roster. If he was close to MLB ready, I think there's a chance he might have been sent to the alternate training site instead of to the minor leagues. But the fact that he's going back down to the minors, I don't think he's that close. I think he's still at least a year away. Until he can show great command of his pitches, I don't think the Padres are going to rush him to the majors. I don't expect Mackenzie Gore to make the San Diego Padres MLB roster at all in 2021. But yeah, that's pretty much the Padres opening day roster in a nutshell. I think my favorite spring training statistic is the fact that Craig Stammen hit 1 for 1 and therefore had a batting average of 1,000. Maybe he should move to the outfield, man. Who knows? He's got an arm. He can hit. Who knows? But yeah, leave a comment down below on what you think about the Padres opening day roster. What should they have done differently?